All right, this vehicle was sitting for, we're going almost on 2 months now. This was back in May. We're in June right now, and it's just finished up. Unfortunately, refrigerant lines were open for a long time. I've had this on the vacuum pump for the last hour, and I just started to data log this for you guys to show you microns and micron decay. So here's a situation where we don't have a leak. We have moisture in the system. I have a little contamination and some of the bad things that happen when you use refrigerant hoses that have a residue of oil in them. They've had refrigerant in them, so they have off-gassing coming out of the rubber of your refrigerant hoses, and a little moisture will affect your readings. And this is why it's not the greatest method of using a micron gauge that is located with refrigerant hoses attached to it, but we're in automotive, we're not in commercial refrigeration. And I understand the expense for most automotive guys to start out buying a separate micron gauge that might be $100, $200, or $300, and buying for a set of gauges is rather expensive first start out. So what do I recommend for somebody starting out and they want to have a taste of what a micron gauge can do? And so you can actually see moisture come out. You can tell if you have a leak under vacuum, and leaks under vacuum are a very poor way of looking for leaks, because you could have leaks, and I've done many videos on this, you could have leaks that are big under pressure but don't leak at all under vacuum. So in this situation, you could see where I graphed it. We're holding at 859 microns right there. And here's my graph line right there. Let's see if it'll focus. Come on. There we go. And then I'll pull it back and you can see where I shut it off. Right? God dang it. Yeah, it doesn't want to, you can see it pop in there for a second and it pops out. I still have not figured out how to graph this back and keep it there just by scrolling back like that. But that was my, you see where it hit almost 500 microns? And that was after an hour. And it still wouldn't go down all the way. And then the moment I turned off the two valves, you see it jump up. And that was the moment I killed the vacuum. You see the two knobs here are open to the system, but the knobs are closed to the vacuum pump. And then immediately it leveled off, and you can see like it's barely moving. It's flatlining. So basically, and it'll stay there. And if you record this enough hours, it'll come to a point where it does not rise at all. And what that is that's the limitation with the pressure and the temperature of what moisture has absorbed into the refrigerant oil, into the metal, that is outgassing and then stopping at that level of pressure. A negative vacuum, what we call vacuum, is actually a pressure. And so I have no leaks under vacuum, and it's just equalizing. And this is 800 microns is pretty high for that. But when you have a car or a vehicle that was been open to the atmosphere with POE oil or PAG oil, it's highly hygroscopic. Getting it down below 500 microns is next to impossible unless I left it on the vacuum pump overnight. I might be able to get this car that's been sitting with the lines open, exposed to the atmosphere for 2 months. I might be able to get it approaching 500 microns after you do the decay test and turn it on. That is how difficult moisture is to remove. And actually, you cannot remove it all. You can lower its percentage, but you cannot remove all the moisture once the oil has been heavily contaminated. Luckily, they got a new condenser on here, and a condenser has a desiccant bag on it, the chemical that actually dries out and keeps the system clean. So that will absorb some of the residual small quantity of moisture that's in the system as a contaminant from being exposed to the atmosphere. So we'll go on to the next step after this, and I'm going to charge this up now, and we'll come back to data logging and looking at some of the temperatures. Forget the pressures, let's look at some temperatures of refrigerant lines and evaporator. Okay.